I just really want to paint, you know? Sharing your truth and finding an interesting way for people to want to listen. The world is my canvas.
Thrilled to have you.
My
And I want
pleasure.
to start off with a little like a bold question, but I mean, because you know your name is Shira, but you're created under the name of Koketit, and I know that it's like a cat in French. Like in one of your interviews, you mentioned that. So I was wondering, like, why did you wanted to change, the sort of like the name you create under? What was there, or it just happened organically, like from the beginning?
It's the name Koketit started off as a blog name when way back when. Through the years, as I advanced with my creation of my creative work, sort of jumping from or climbing from one thing to the next, from a blog to having a temporary tattoo business um, to doing all sorts of things. I needed a name for the brand, for a brand to come with me. So I just it's stuck with Coquetted, which was already established, and people knew me by I was already known by that name. But then, if something doesn't fit well, then you make the adjustments. I found the name to be very it was like fate in a way, because the meaning of coquette is flirty. And as an artist, my main goal is that I flirt with ideas, because I'm constantly shifting and finding different ways of expression and canvases to draw on. So I felt like it really fit the name. And I also really think that there is a duality in myself. I'm Shira in my private life, and I'm Koketit in my work life, and there is a range there. I'm not the same person, so it fits. It makes sense for me to have that.
That's so interesting. And I love you mentioned the idea of like flirting with ideas because like looking at what you do is like fascinates me the bravery in a way with which you do things. So you have like NFTs, some collaborations with like, the pieces of the furniture, or like this beautiful pillows and the posters and the paintings and like all of those things. So how do you find like balance between all of it? Because I feel like for a lot of artists, it's maybe a little scary because you like literally, do like so many things, or is it just natural for you that you put yourself in so many different things?
I think that's just the way my brain works. It's just the way that I am. I am a person who it may be like a little bit of an ADHD, it's a little bit of, inability to constantly focus on one thing, but I get bored very easily, and I get very, very curious. And when I get inspired, it's like the highest level. So I got to drop everything I do and explore this one thing that interests me, even if it's out of context, even if it's not my deadline, even if something else demands my attention, I have to explore. So, I built my business, or I guess it organically, my business, or the way that I work was built organically around my personality.
That makes sense. And
Yeah,
what
I just,
Mhm.
yeah, please.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
I'm curious. And what you would say excites you now? What do you like the most exciting, either project or like medium now you work with that like brings you the most joy and just like really inspiring to deal with?
So right now I'm really, it's so funny. In my tiny little studio here in Tel Aviv, I am dancing between two very opposite polars. One being I'm trying to work and navigate using AI on one hand, And then the other 180 degrees from that is canvas work with acrylic, like old school medium. And yeah, I mean, I think one day I'm really into, I can sit an entire day and explore on my computer and learn and um, try to invent my creativity using different technological tools. And then another day, whether it be through some kind of breakthrough or frustration, it can be due to any reason. I just really want to paint, you know? So right now I am working on a canvas for customizing a canvas work for a client, and I am working on designing pools with AI. So the range is quite big.
Wow. So since you mentioned the AI, because I feel like there's also like a very sensitive territory, because like a lot of, I mean, like people overall, not even artists, like skeptical about it because it kind of destroys the nature of a work. It's just something artificial. It's not like, so how do you approach that? Or it just like interests you and that's why you're like, okay, like I need to try to see how I can express myself through it.
I feel like maybe a lot of the people that express negativity towards the AI are probably those who have not dived into it yet and maybe are fearful. I have been working with AI for over a year, and so you know, I've not tasted. I've like dove deep into this field, and what I found is that it is no different than if you sit an artist and give him the best paint, the best colors, and the best canvases in the world. It's what they do with it is what matters. So it's just another tool. At the end of the day, um, you can sit me in front of AI to do and create what is inside my head, and you can sit another person, and the result will be totally different, and it will be entirely due to what is between my ears. So at the end of the day, AI is just a tool and a magnificent, sometimes very frustrating tool. For instance, I'm not a technician, and I'm not a color expert. I'm not the most nice painter. You know, I do possess certain talents within drawing, but it's not something like so like the best. I'm not the best, as they say. But where I think that I bring my artistry the best is with my ideas, like being like coming up with visions and maybe having a little bit of courage to stand behind them. So in that retrospect, AI is wonderful for me. And I think any artist or any person that is into creation must possess that sense of adventure
Yeah.
to seek what they can do with this very revolutionary tool that will most definitely, inevitably change the world.
Mm.
Um, and staying behind is staying behind. There is no romance in it, in my opinion.
That's so. Do you have like a crazy idea or some revolutionary idea or something already that you came up with that you want to try it with the AI? If you can talk about it or not yet, or you just wanted to give it a try and see where it leads you.
Well, right now, AI is interesting because as long as it understands you and there is something in the world that already exists, it will be able to bring it for you. But it's hard to train AI to come up with a new invention if it has not been invented yet.
Mhm.
So right now, what I'm trying to invent is my language, my signature style on swimming pools, because I really have discovered that pools are like the perfect canvas. You know, there are these great planes They're huge canvases. Often we see them in a lot of places, homes, hotels, resorts, and they're like empty canvases. So I thought, why not make them into works of art? So right now I'm just, through AI, I'm learning not just how to utilize the shapes and the size of the pool, but also understand texture. Like, what does my drawing look like in mosaic? Or what does it look like on tile? Or what is it, get a 3D sense of it all. And because, there is not a lot of that in the world right now, it's hard to train the tool to understand me. So that's what I mean when I say your AI is who you are.
Well, that's fascinating. Yeah, now when you mention that, I'm like, I feel it's like, yeah, to your point, such an incredible canvas on like expressing yourself. I wanted to talk a little bit like back in time when you said, because you mentioned, and I know you were like a fashion illustrator, I think, and then you had like a tattoo business. So when did it click for you when you were like, I actually think I'm like an artist, like that's what I should focus on.
So it's so funny because with technological tools, I'm fast, but with career insight, I'm slow. It took me a long time to bring myself to where I needed to be. Um, Coming from fashion, in fashion is it's a field where it's all about aesthetics and a lot of masks and a lot of beauty, and embellishments and being a fashion illustrator, I felt a lot of pressure to make everything exquisite. So I wasn't necessarily searching from within. I was just trying to impress my clients. And that felt very emptying after a while. I felt like I wasn't, it wasn't for me at some point. I started to feel restless.
Mm.
And then came the tattoos and the place where everything clicked for me was when I decided to put all my focus on Instagram. I understood that I understood the potential of being able to reach a very large audience, worldwide audience, which was what I was aiming for. And I understood that it's all up to me. It will be what I make of it. So I really put all my focus on coming up with the story that people will want to tune in to see every day, like a show.
Mm.
That's how I came up with The World is My Canvas series. And through everyday exploration of what should I post today, I found myself and what I want to say, because being an artist is all about sharing your truth and finding an interesting way for people to want to listen. In my opinion.
Mm.
So Instagram was like the perfect platform for that. And it also gave me confidence because people kept wanting to purchase what I was showing. So I felt like I felt the demand. So I started to sell the prints. The prints started to morph also into original drawings, and then came collaborations, and it really like grew organically through time. Each time I felt a little bit more secure and more confident in my path.
Ah, that's so interesting because you mentioned the series "The World Is My Canvas," and I think one of the first work we saw of yours is like this girl who's like in the ocean and in the sky, and it's so like mysterious, but also definitely like holds your attention because you want to explore like to your point, what's the story behind? And talking about Instagram, could it be like sometimes a little? And I know how you navigate this, but like you post something and say it gets so many likes. And then, of course, you are tempted to post something like a like. How do you stay aligned with your vision? How do you separate this for yourself, just not to be led too much by the technologies and like what people like and, you know?
I think it's something, it's like this, you're describing a line that I'm very much aware of. and it's a guiding line, actually. It's like my compass. On one hand, I have to stay true to who I am, and on the other hand, I want to keep what I have built already, my empire, right? Like the people that follow me. And also, there is a third element, unfortunately, and that is at the end of the day, I don't really have power like I think I do because Instagram can take it all away tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, I have already experienced what it's like to have more than 500,000 followers, but one day you post something and the reach is so low that you ask yourself, what is going on? You know, like things change all the time. One day, TikTok, Instagram can decide it wants to be like TikTok, and you become irrelevant. But to answer your question, when, for instance, Instagram last year decided it wanted to be more like TikTok and it moved towards video, I had to find a way to stay relevant. So I started doing animation. So that was like an example of how I stay true to who I am, and but also continued to ride the wave. What I didn't do is what a lot of people did is they started shooting themselves, doing videos of them talking or participating in trends or doing the challenges and all that stuff. And I that's just not who I am, and I didn't want to do it. So you have to find what's right for you at the end of the day, and that's not something that I can compromise on. But I did find animation, which was amazing, and I wouldn't have done it otherwise. So sometimes it's like these things that can push you forward and help you find new things too.
Well,
So it's a delicate game.
I love how you found, yeah, like it, even the changing in medium, but like keep telling your stories. And I think it's also so rare to your point, being, beautiful woman and just like not to explore it on Instagram, not to be like, hey guys, and use it as a, yeah, sort of as something that draws more attention. So talking about stories, what would you want your works to be in like many, many years? Like all the works that you do, either like, it's like new collaborations or like different mediums.
I think I want to move towards work that is more substance, more significance, more relevance, and it would affect more people. The content and the sentiment can stay, it continues, but maybe the size grows. Reach more people. That's my goal all the time, to reach more people, to do bigger, to do better, to be more exciting, to be more provocative, to dare more, to get more intimate, reach new heights, challenge myself, meet exciting people. One of the best things about my job is that you never know where it's gonna take you and who you're gonna meet. I found myself in so many situations I would have never been in if I wasn't who I was, if I wasn't doing what I do. And so it's such an exciting perk of just you being you. I always say like my business is being me. So it makes no logic if I try to do something else, it's just you got if you no one can do you better than you. So just trying to I'm just trying to continue to be me, but change accordingly to the time.
Hmm, that's so exciting. You mentioned like a meeting, incredible people through your work, which I imagine you do a lot considering the amount of mediums you work with. So what were like one of the few like meetings that excited you the most in the last like month or so?
So in this last summer, I was invited to collaborate with Alice and Olivia here in New York. We did a collaboration together. I came to New York. I was hosted by a wonderful lady named Lisa Perry. She had a fashion brand called Lisa Perry. She's beautiful. She's a wonderful woman. So I was hosted at her house at a Hamptons, and they had this beautiful event collaboration launch at the Hamptons. I met Stacy Bendage, the owner of Alice and Olivia, and we just had such an amazing afternoon. Yeah, it was really great to be surrounded by all these strong women and to be acknowledged. We also got to donate proceeds to a charity, and it felt like really great all around.
That sounds so nice. Wow. And it's still like it fascinates me how you find your way through, whatever the world that is like changing a lot. I wanted to touch a little bit on the modern contemporary scene in the way, because I think like sometimes like especially when a lot of people look at the contemporary art, they're like finding like yours, which is like fascinating and a master and there's a thought. And then they find something which is like more like a clickbait, provocative, like hype and things like that. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you have like any artists, the living artists that you admire now that with whose art you're fascinated by?
To be honest, I don't get so caught up with names of other contemporary artists because I try to focus on my own work, and my inspirations are my heroes like Picasso, Matisse,
Cocteau, yeah.
Cocteau. So these are like artists from the last century that their work is like a well of inspiration. And whenever I feel like I need to get inspired, they are my go-to group. Not just because of the freshness that is still relevant today of the work, but the boldness of doing something new, and the simplicity, which is mind-blowing to me. How something so simple can be so unbelievably sophisticated.
Mm.
It was just also very daring, like the not valued that much at the beginning, and people maybe thought it was doodle or gibberish, and these people, they changed it all because they believed in themselves. So to me, that's the most inspiring element of it all,
Oh.
to have conviction in my scribbles.
Hmm. I can see that. Yeah, I feel like the irony is that like a lot of like old masters have like a lot of freshness to it and the mastery to the point, so that's why they stay relevant. And what would you say the beauty is for you?
Authenticity is, yeah, nature is beauty for me.
Wow. And perhaps like my last question for you is that what would you say keep you going? Like as a human, as an artist, like doesn't matter or whether it's like the same.
I think I have like this innate belief in what I'm doing in myself. Sometimes, often, I will be very frustrated with myself. I can be very critical with myself. And sometimes things don't go the way I want. That just the way it is. That's how it goes. So there has to be some underneath force conquers every downfall and helps you get up. And I think for me, that force is a knowingness, that there is nothing else that I'd rather do in my life. There is nothing else that would justify my existence